Since I was about 5, I've believed that handling antiques is actually the closest thing you will ever get to travelling back in time. I genuinely still believe that today, and it sends shivers up the back of my spine when I handle things from the past. This is a trophy here. I'm going to talk you through it, and I'm going to show you how this thing can transport you back in time, because its history and its fascinating story is literally written all around it. And this, as well as any antique you have at home or you find on your travels, is a direct connection to people long gone and forgotten. And so, yes, it is a form of time travel. So let me tell the story of this silver trophy, and let's transport ourselves back in time. Right, well, let's start with today, early 2023. It's in auction, it's going to be sold, and it was sent to me, this trophy, by somebody from Facebook, a follower on Facebook, who sent some pictures of it and said, look, what do I think? It's been rediscovered. It was found, sadly, after his father had died, and in his possessions, and so the son wasn't quite sure what to do with it. Cut a long story short, here it is in auction. But let's talk about its history. So first of all, let's avoid the inscriptions for the moment, and let's look at its hallmark. So this thing is solid silver and incredibly heavy, and there are the luscious hallmarks. So the one in the center there is a leopard looking right at you. To the left hand side is a lion side on, and then a letter I to the right hand side. So the leopard in the middle tells us that it was made in London, and the eye, it was made in 1926. So we're going back, what, 97 years so far. But I'm going to take you back further in actual fact, because let's just spin it around to the front. And this, I can tell you, was the first engraving made in 1926. And so here we are, John J. Hunt Challenge Cup, presented for annual competition to the Grand Yorkshire Flower Show and Gala. Right, well, John J. Hunt, I can tell you, is a Yorkshire brewer, or were Yorkshire brewers, and so this cup was donated by them to the Yorkshire Flower Show and Gala as a form of marketing, advertising, no different to a brewery today advertising on television or on the internet. It's all about the money, and you realize when you handle things from the past, nothing ever changes. So John J. Hunt very cleverly donated this thing to the Yorkshire Flower Show and Gala. Now, I said I was going to take you back further in time. I am, because the Grand Yorkshire Flower Show and Gala actually was formed in 1859. So there's another connection to, you know, the original founders of the show. And the gala itself was almost a recreation of medieval festivals. So, you know, this is, you know, the height of the Queen Victoria period, the Industrial Revolution. And the gala in York, by all accounts, when I've been researching this thing online, was absolutely magnificent. Balloon rides, circus, shows, dancing, festivities, fireworks, just a major social event. And it was very much horticultural, and of course, well, there we are, the flowers. So, you know, flower growers from all over Yorkshire would go to this event in June every year in the middle of York and show their flowers. And by goodness me, if you were the best, you would be going home with this cup. But not very many flower growers, in actual fact, went home with this cup, because if we spin it around to the other side, the story continues very interestingly. And let's have a quick look. Let's have a read of that. The Grand Yorkshire Flower Show and Gala was wound up in 1939 when this cup was presented to the York City Police Athletic Association. Right. Okay, so wound up in 1939. I can only imagine that was because of the outbreak of the Second World War, when I suppose, you know, all kinds of growing facilities, fields, horticultural use. So rather than growing pretty flowers, I'm pretty certain because of the war effort, the authorities believed that we needed that ground to literally grow food to survive. So it was The cup was then donated to the Police Athletic Association, and then we have lots of winners of this cup throughout the period connected to the police. But it wasn't just athletics, I've discovered. It was an award, a yearly award donated or won by a policeman, a serving Yorkshire policeman, for all sorts of things. In fact, the very last recipient of this, the father of the owner, won the cup. There's a picture of him I'll drop in, actually. There he is, very proudly holding the cup. This chap, a serving police officer, won the cup in the early 1990s for a photographic competition, and he was the last winner of the cup. And since the early 90s, the cup has been wrapped up in newspaper and stored in a loft. So now we come back full circle to 2023. We've travelled back in time at least 100 years, and we've learnt about brewers and the history of the gala. And now it's going for sale, and it will start a new life as what we don't know. As for its value, there's only one man that knows. Of course, it's David Elstob. And here he is. How are you doing, David?
I'm very well. How are you?
All right, okay. I'm just admiring this trophy. It is a stonker, isn't it?
It's a handsome cup, isn't it?
What are you thinking, value-wise? The owner, as you know, wants to sell it.
It is heavy. I think it's about 60-something troy ounces in it. So there's big value in that. It's a bit of a double header. You might get a collector or someone after it because it's got a local interest, Yorkshire Flower Show. You may also, because it's a good thick gauge of silver, you might get someone who will erase the inscriptions on it.
Ah, now that's actually not a bad option. A lot of people will be wincing at that. But if you think about it, it's all about the money. How much would a cup like that cost new today?
Yeah, a hell of a lot of money. A couple of thousand, 3,000.
Got to be that. Maybe even £5,000.
And it's a good one. It's by the Barnards, the good silversmiths. The condition's not fabulous, but I don't think there's anything there which can't be sorted out.
What's the problem with it? I couldn't see anything on it.
The cover's a bit pushed in. The foot's a little bit misshapen, but the things that can be sorted out.
Well, it's 100 years old, I suppose.
Well,
I mean, that's the joy of antiques. You can
buyers are picky nowadays. So.
Are they? Even with things like that?
Oh, yeah.
Are they really? Yeah. Are you finding that they're more and more picky these days?
They are.
Right.
They are. And even, the maker's mark's a little bit rubbed, and that may put someone off, actually.
All right,
but
okay.
It's decipherable.
Okay, what's it worth?
I've put 8 to 1,200 on it. So 800 buyer's premium on it takes it kind of at 900. But I think there's a little bit of legs in it really beyond that.